niggas running with their own team like Razzle Dazzle. All about that cash, we don't want no hassle.
We back with another episode of the TrakWolf Godcast. I'm your boy TrakBeatz. We got my man Cheno Bliss in the building with us today. You know what I'm saying? We got a lovely special guest up in the building with us today. You know what I'm saying? You want to introduce yourself to the people?
I'm Chemire.
Yeah, I know what time it is. We about to get into some good topics and discussions today. You know what I'm saying? But first, we're going to start off with this nice, amazing product we got right here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You want to let the people know what this is and how you came up with this concept?
All right. So this is it's called Chamire 7. I have a couple of different blends of body oil, but this is the first one, and I created it because I have 7 children, and like lots of African American people, 3 of them suffered from eczema and just different skin issues. Yeah. And one day my son broke out with this. He had this weird, like these bumps on his nose and on his cheeks, and nobody really knew what it was. And the doctors, they you know, nobody could really tell me anything. And I just decided that I wasn't putting anything else on my skin or my kid's skin that I didn't know exactly what was in it. Yeah. You know, so many, you know, words that are like 12 letters and 15 letters that you have no idea what that word is and what that is doing to your body. And so I got some, at the time I had olive oil at my house, and I put essential oils in the olive oil, and that's where I started. And then I started to see what carrier oils work better with, you know, the eczema, and what essential oils and which ones were better for skin. And I blended them all and put them in that bottle. And so
all of them, you just
everything
that experiment.
Yeah, like, and this has been like a 3 to 4 year process. Like, when I first got the oils, I had like these little 2-ounce bottles, and I had like, I made my whole family Christmas gifts, but I bless God that their skin didn't burn off, because I was like, this oil is gonna smell good. And so I put all the essential oils that I could, and it was like way too strong. And so it's been a lot of trial and error.
So
like,
scent wise, it was too strong, or just like effect wise, it was too strong? So
essential oils it's the essence of what is in the plant, right? Mm-hmm. So when you put it in a carrier oil, what it does is it infuses into that carrier oil, and those properties go into the carrier oil. Okay. It doesn't happen immediately. So I wanted the oil to smell good right then, and I didn't understand that about the essential oil. So I was like, impatient. Right. So I was like, no, 8 drops is not enough, because I can't smell it. So I was like, yeah. And so by the time because I made it like 2 to 3 weeks before Christmas, by the time they got the oils, it was like, oh, what is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was way too strong. So it's taking me some time to
pull it together.
So figure it out.
What was your process on like finding information on like what oils to use? How did you even start to find that information?
So I read a lot of blogs. Healthline.com was my favorite, and Dr. Oz. I read a lot of blogs, and then I met God is so good. I met this guy that is a chemist. Mm-hmm. And we ended up being friends for a little while, and he did all the chemical compositions and broke down everything that I had in the oil, and you know exactly how much I needed it to be in there for what the oils did. So it took me a long time. Like, first I was just reading what other people said, and I picked, okay, well, like for instance, lavender. Lavender is one of the oils, one of the essential oils in the blend, and lavender is like the best all around, like for skin, you can put lavender directly on your skin.
That's why there's a lot of lavender and everything
now. Like, lavender is the bomb. So, you know, I started with that, and then I was like, okay, well, there's some essential oils that are better for dry skin, and there's some essential oils that are better for oily skin. So I put both of them in there, because you know, like, let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You know, so I just looked for anything that was good for skin, because like I said in the beginning, it was about, you know, my kid's skin. That evolved into something different, you know. Gotcha. Because then the oil is also, like I was telling you at the park, it's an intention oil, and a lot of people don't know what that is, but like, we grew up in church, so like, it's an anointing oil. Like, you remember when the people would pray for you and you smell the oil smells like cinnamon? You know, like it's
Right
literally,
before,
it's just cinnamon. It's cinnamon. And that's because cinnamon has a spiritual, it does something spiritually, right? The spirit responds to cinnamon. Yeah. It responds to every essential oil in some way. So
I love cinnamon.
Oh my God, cinnamon is so warm and like, and it's an antibacterial agent. So we are we are 3 parts: mind, body, and soul. It deals with your mental, like aromatherapy is all about, you know, mental. It deals with your physical, because like the skin, the body, like what you put on your skin goes in, like it's dealing with your whole physical, but then also then there's a spiritual aspect of it. So then it's got frankincense in it, it's got myrrh in it, and those things are like, so the oil is just, it does all of that.
So how long did it take the process for your kids like skin problems to kind of clear up with using the oils?
So my son, that infection that he had on his, I don't know what it was actually. I don't know what it was. Nobody could tell me what it was. But after I started to use my oils, that thing cleared up in like maybe a week. Like it was really fast. It was like, and I prayed for him when I put the oil on him. So I don't know if it was like I healed him.
It was both.
I could have healed him, but that was really quick. But my daughter and one of my sons has eczema pretty bad, and as soon as they started using it, it cleared up. Like, I'm talking about days, you know, like maybe a week, but it's something that you have to keep using, because eczema is not something, it doesn't cure it. It's maintaining. So if they use it, they're good. If they start putting other stuff on, like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what flares the eczema up. I think that's spiritual too, but also mental and physical. So whatever caused it to flare up, once they use the oil, it'll go away.
It balances it up better. That's pretty creative. A lot of people like to stick to the opioids and go straight to the doctors and to the medicines and to all the weird creams they give them. But I definitely think organic is a lot more natural and more efficient for us. You know what I'm saying?
I was so like I said, I grew up Christian, and I still am very much a church girl. That doesn't go to church and smokes weed. Right? But I read, so I was reading I think it was First or Second Kings, and it was this one part of the Bible, and this one story, like for me, it resonated, and it might not do it for anybody else, but it was a king that was sick. And he sent his servant to go and ask somebody else, like, will I live? And the response to that person was, go back and tell him that, isn't there a God in Israel? Like, so if you asking me if you're going to live, then no, you're not. You have a God over there. So for me, I always consult self. Like, I always consult the Most High God. Like, the doctor is, you will probably have to knock me out, and then I wake up in the hospital before, or I try everything and it doesn't work.
Wait, I just refuse to go. So when people were saying, "Oh, Obamacare," one, my mom said that shit was expensive, and for two, I didn't need the hospital those 8 years. So that shit didn't do nothing for me. I refuse to go, and I try to keep the little ones away from it as much as possible. When she gets sick, I let her try to take the organic route of letting your body build the immune system up to fight it and kick it, opposed to them keep running to the cough medicines and these syrups and all this other extra shit, you know what I'm saying, that weakens them, and then by the time you know what I'm saying, like, I don't know, you run into a lot of people that takes a lot of medications, you know what I'm saying, and a lot of it is due to having a weaker immune system. Not saying you can't build it back strong again, but a lot of it is due to having a weaker immune system.
I mean, and those medicines, like, they break down and they sit in your system, and those toxins just sit in your body. Like,
people trust those white coats for some reason.
Well, they trust them because so I have 7 children, right? So obviously, like, me being the person that I am, the first one, I was like, okay, well, the second one I could probably do on my own. I'm saying, like, because I've done this once, right? But, you know, you go to the doctor. But anyway, as soon as you have your baby, they tell you in 1 week, you have to come back to us to make sure that the baby is doing whatever it's supposed to be doing. And I'm like, why? I mean, people been having babies for like millions of years. Why do I have to come back and check in with you to make sure that my baby is gaining enough weight? So like you kind of are conditioned from day one that like these people are the ones that know whether or not you're healthy. It's not necessarily wrong to go to the doctor. I take my kid, but like most of my doctor's appointments are me telling them I'm not doing that. I know you suggested, but I'm not. I don't have to.
Because they flip so much stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if we had more organic doctors that we could go to, you know what I'm saying? Whether they was prescribing opioids or not, you know what I'm saying? At least people that you could trust to give you the right dosage of some shit, you know what I'm saying? Or at least be willing to. Because I know for some people, you know what I'm saying? Like, they might give this crowd right here some good opioids for their strengths. Or they pain relievers, and then the other ones they just, you know, go get you some over-the-counter ibuprofen or some Tylenol or something. You know what I'm saying? But
and if you look, like it used to be that I could go to the doctor and be like, my shoulder hurt, they gonna give me Percocet or Vicodin or whatever. This was like maybe 10 to 15 years ago. Anything I went to the doctor for, I had pain.
It's not the same no more.
Oh, they don't give it to you, but it's like, okay, so why was that okay 10 years ago?
You gotta fight.
How many more times are y'all gonna mess up and then realize, oh, we're not supposed to be doing that, and then we have to reprogram ourselves? Like, I know people who were addicted to painkillers. I know how it was so easy for me, like being in an abusive relationship. It was nothing to take a Percocet and be like, okay, because you know it make you feel real happy. You know what I'm saying?
Chill the fuck out.
Right. So how many more times do we have to readjust after they figure out that what we're doing is wrong? So I'm like, yeah, I can just talk to God, you know, or like talk to myself. Like, I can figure this out, and I've been good. So I don't know. Like, I'm just gonna stick to that.
I don't blame you. I believe in the oils and the crystals and the spices. You know what I'm saying? The fruits, the veggies. I know it's something that like I wasn't programmed to. So like a lot of that shit, my body fights it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't fuck with onions, but I know they good for me, so I need to eat them, you know what I'm saying? So now I be trying to balance it a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? So now if I'm gonna have some onions, they gotta be fried, they gotta be chopped up real small in the food to where I can't taste them, but I know they in there, you know what I'm saying? But I can manage the smell of them now better because I know I should be taking this, you know what I'm saying? I done indulged in so much other shit that you start feeling better once you start living better, you know what I'm saying? That don't mean balling out of control. That just means just living better, eating better, you know what I'm saying? Like getting yourself in a spiritual place better where you're not so much stress, you know what I'm saying? You still have the little things, but once you can remove the bulk of it, like...
I mean, our people are just, we're so focused on... We're focused on what we have been told to be focused on. And what we've been told to be focused on keeps us in a place of bondage. So it's everything really is about like realizing, okay, why do I do that? Why do I trust those white coats? Well, because I was told that the white coats are safe. I was told that they keep me alive. Okay, well, once you realize that was a lie that you were told, you just fix it. Well, why do I eat at McDonald's? Well, because I know for me, I'm like, so my kids, like I said, I had 7 and I worked every pregnancy all the way until I had my babies. You know, I was going to do both because I grew up poor. So I'm like, I'm going to have things. My kids are going to have certain things. Well, we can never have kids meals. So it was a certain night that my kids always had kids meals. Like we always ate at McDonald's on Happy Meal night. Yeah. But I was hurting them. Like, that wasn't a good thing. Like, that was something that I was doing because I was fighting. Like, I'm not poor. Like, I can have this.
Bad pull, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know this shit is toxic.
I didn't even think about the fact that it was toxic.
I shouldn't be doing this, but this feels like...
Because I'm doing better. Because I can put my kids in the car and go get Happy Meals. So my mom couldn't do that.
How do you feel about Happy Meals now?
We don't do Happy Meals now.
So how did you tell them no more Happy Meals?
Oh, that was hard. That was so... oh, my goodness. That was
I made this a special and I'm going to take it away.
Like, and don't get me wrong, like, there are times when I go eat McDonald's because, you know, you know,
You still got itch.
Yeah, like, well, not that. I never wanted. It's disgusting, and I tell them every time I got for real, like for real. Like
as you in the drive-thru.
Like, this is my issue with McDonald's.
This shit is disgusting, baby. What you
any
want?
Drive-thru, for real. I come here because it's fast, right?
Yeah.
I never come here because I think this food is good.
Yeah.
I only come because I literally only have an hour left, and I have to get these kids in bed or whatever I got to do. So I'm coming here because it's fast. Don't make me wait. And don't give it to me cold, because already I'm settling for this food. Like, it's never good. I hate it. Like, there are times when we have McDonald's, but that's not this is what I had to tell them when we got rid of that, when we stopped eating like that, because I had to change my whole way I thought about eating. I don't feed you because I want you to have something that tastes good. I'm sorry. That's not ever. Like, there are things that
How old are they now with you explaining this to them?
I have a 1-year-old.
Okay, so she's already in the process of growing into it, so it's easy now.
No, he's still, people give him candy, and he's tasted the things that he likes, and there are times when he tries to say, no, I'm not going to have that. You know, like, he's human. Like, what does the Bible say? A man is born but of a few days and full of sin.
See,
so
my
you want
daughter
bad.
not big on candy, but she's not big on, she's still a picky eater, you know what I'm saying? So I still have the same problem, so that's why I'm asking,
because
other
kids,
parents
listen,
that's in this
kids.
place that's
How many times do you say, I don't want that, because you just say I don't want it? Like, I don't eat that. Like, how many times do you
I
just
used
not?
to.
Right, or even like a certain color, you might be like, I don't wear that color, or I just don't. Like, we get stuck in certain things where we're like, I don't do that. Kids are humans, so like, they come out and they're like, I want to choose. Like, I'm gonna have this, and they might not even really not like what you're giving them. It's just they are humans, and our whole, like, the whole greatness of being a human is that you get to choose. So they're like, I don't want to eat that. Okay, well, I don't care if it tastes good to you. You're eating because you want to grow and you want to be alive, and I don't want you to be sick, and so you're gonna eat it. And I have one son, he will fall asleep in his plate. We did that a couple times. Like, he fell literally in a suit. You know, might inhale some in, you know. That we had to have that fight. And he told me one day, he was like, look, I don't want to be, I'm okay with being short. Like, I don't need to be tall, so I'm just not going to eat these vegetables. And I'm like, like, that's my son.
Made a choice.
You know,
He made a choice.
I made a choice. It's going to be short. Like, and so it wasn't easy. I'm saying all that to say it was not ever easy to give up McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's not. Like, even I still have days where I'm like, I know it. I want to go eat McDonald's, but I want to be healthy. Like, we live there's a pandemic, like this thing COVID, that's killing people. You know what I'm saying? Like, just eat right. I never got sick. I've been fine. Like, and I sometimes don't wear a mask, but I eat right.
Fuck them masks. That's how I feel about them masks.
Well, but you eat right.
Yeah, I eat better. I would say it's on a scale. You know, I feel like everything is on a scale. So my percentage scale of eating better is better than usual, or than it used to be. You know what I'm saying? It still ain't the best, but it's better than usual. You know what I'm saying?
And there's people out here that's alive that still eat terrible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those of us who are doing a little bit better are probably not going to,
But my spiritual beliefs, I also don't believe that I'm going to get sick. And I also know that when I'm eating bullshit, that I'm eating it because I need to eat. You know what I'm saying? How you think about your food, it's also like a ritual. How you eat your food is a ritual. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
as a man thinketh, so is he.
yeah, they had a saying, like, it was two people who worked in a factory for 30 years. One person got cancer and the other person didn't. What was the difference? You know what I'm saying? One, spiritual beliefs, basically, what it came down to. You know what I'm saying? So, but on that note, we're going to cut to this break and we're going to get back to y'all.
This that savage shit. Daddy!
So we back from the break, you know what I'm saying? So we about to let my man Cheno Bliss introduce this next subject we're about to get into.
Yeah, so why don't you let the viewers know a little bit about where you're from and your upbringing?
So I'm from Charlottesville, Virginia, born and raised mostly. I lived in a couple other places, but I feel like I went to every grade in school in Charlottesville. I grew up in the church, Church of God in Christ. Devout Christian. We were in church sometimes 7 days a week, mostly 6, on a good week 5. But and I loved it.
By force or by choice, or both?
Well, I mean, I don't remember it ever being a choice as to whether or not we went to church. But I mean, when you're a kid, you don't really have a choice as to whether or not you do anything. Like, that's what my mom did. She went to church, so like we were there. And my mom was like, we didn't go anywhere without her. Like my only friends that I stayed away from my home with was my pastor's daughter and like maybe their family. Like I didn't have friends outside of my church family, so like that's what my mom did. So that's what, it wasn't really forced because I loved it. You know what I mean? Like my church was my home. Like God was. Oh my gosh, and I loved it. Like I loved everything about knowing this God. You know, like I really was like I was like a church weirdo. Like my friends now call me Bible Bee. Like I literally, I legit locked my friends in high school in my room and told them they couldn't leave unless they got saved. Like I was that girl. So, I was really into it.
What was it about church for you?
Well, I grew up in a house with a lot of family, a lot of family. So it was, my whole family went to church, and everything that we did was in that place. Like it was where we lived. It was, you know, all of my Halloween memories were Hallelujah nights at church. Like, and whether, you know, some kids have memories of trick or treating. We didn't have that memory, but it was still the memory of Halloween. Like we did what we did, you know.
Yeah. How many people were in your house?
Oh my! So my mom had 6 kids, and then she lived in a house with her 2 sisters. One of my aunts had 6, and then the other one had 2, and her husband. And then one time we had our uncle and our cousin also staying with us. So it was a lot of us in one house. And we grew, and we were close, and we were good.
Full house.
Yeah. And I, like when it was time for that situation to break up, eventually my mom and her sisters, you know, split up.
Yeah.
I remember when they would talk about it, I was the oldest of all the kids, and so, you know, I would be like sitting around listening. It was like the most depressing time of my life, because I'm like, they are really about to split us up. Like being together close like that was good for me. I loved it. Even though I felt alone, I loved being in with my people. Like my family, it would be zone. Yeah, like we and we were all really, really talented. So like my family was the step team, and our step team went and competed, and we got first place every year. Like, so it was it wasn't just going to church. It was in the church was where we like kind of how I feel like it should be now. Like if my whole community went to my church, that would have been like, we all would have been doing that step team. We all would have been doing that Christmas play or that Hallelujah night. We don't function like that together as a people. But I loved it because that's where I grew. That's where I was taught. Like the women in my church, they taught me, my mom, my aunt, they taught me everything I know, and I loved being around them. So going to Bible study on Tuesday night, even though it was like, oh my God, I'm in Bible study, it was like, but I'm with these women and they're teaching me, and you know, like I loved it. Maybe I was weird, but I really did love it.
That's like a community. That's like security.
Mm-hmm. And my best friend was like the pastor's daughter, so it was like
that would make sense though. When like I got brothers that I grew up in the house with, so that's how it was for us in the house. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. As we grew older, though, you know what I'm saying, in high school, that's when the separation happened. But
and I grew up opposite. I didn't have a community or a tribe, or I was alone a lot, a whole lot. So like I don't understand that. Over 10 people, 15 people, and we all a community. We all on the same page. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there were times when we weren't. You know, like I remember times when my mom and my aunts, they would get into it, and so like it would be like the kids wouldn't be able to talk. Like we would have to sneak and go have like, you know, because it was like it was beef. Like they was beefing. But at the end of the day, like if they stepped out the house, nobody else was to know that. Like we beefing here. You know what I mean? Like this is still.
So with it being so many of y'all in the house, what kind of rules was there?
Boys don't hit girls.
That was number one.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But my aunt, she was real like, because these are my boys.
When
so,
you siblings, you almost get a pass.
Well,
brothers can hit sisters, sisters can hit
we
brothers.
didn't do it like
almost,
we really like, and this really shaped like who I am. We did not hit each other, period. So I said boys don't hit girls because it was way worse if a boy hit a girl. But like, if there was ever an issue and it ended up whoever hit first, like we don't hit, we don't do that. Like,
see, me and my sisters, we would play fight. It wasn't like full out fighting. We don't do no shit like that.
Yeah, no, you don't get to vicious like really fight.
Yeah, nah, we didn't do that. But we did play fight, and my sister is older than me by like 4 years. So then, you know, she always thinks she got me. Try to, so then it's like.
Well, I used to beat all the boys up, so I mean, for real, like my uncle tells a story where I was like doing my homework and my brother, who's right under me.
So it's okay for your brothers to come in there and body slam you or throw you on the bed.
So this is what he's doing, right? Like he's messing with me, and I'm sitting there doing my homework, and he messing with me, and I'm telling him like chill, because I really do like I try to be calm first. I'm like chill. He keeps doing it, so. I think I got up and snatched him up against the wall, or whatever I did. It was like everybody in the house knew, don't mess with her, because she like I'll beat your ass. Like I really will. And I still, that's how I am.
So where did that aggressive part come from? Or,
well, I'm not aggressive.
Is that just like if you push a button?
Then I
don't cross my boundaries.
Yeah, because I'm
good.
It's like okay, so like everybody's on this everybody's awoke, and the black people know that we are chosen or kings or whatever, and I feel like really I have this physical strength. Like I really am very, very strong, and I don't try to be that way, but like I've always been able to dominate in a fight. Like my brothers and cousins will tell females like chill, like don't mess with her. Like you don't, for real, you don't, like really you don't. And I'm not a fighter like that. Like I've never trained to fight, and I don't box. Like I'm not gonna tell you I'll throw my hand, but I'll fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like maybe maybe like one of my ancestors was Samson. I don't know.
You know how to use that dark energy the right way.
Whatever it is, I'm right. Like, and so that was a rule that was like really important for me, is don't hit, because like you really can. Every time I feel like I ever went against it and did hit, I always hurt one of my siblings way more than what I wanted to. And it was like, that was more of a punishment to me. So, like I really have always been like for real, keep your hands to yourself. Like that made me who I am.
So how did that transition for you into relationships from like a female's perspective? Because we usually up here and we give a guy's perspective. So like transferring from these kind of situations into relationships, how did that affect you going into them?
I mean, I definitely just always felt like there was a rule that you do not hit me. You know what I mean? Like I remember, I feel like even being being young and not feeling like if he cheated on me, it would be this. Like, like as you contemplate relationships and whatnot, I remember contemplating, if he hit me, that would be it. Like, you don't get to hit me. You know what I mean? I just always felt like that's what my mom taught me, is that we don't hit. Like, I don't hit my siblings, they don't hit me. Anything else is kind of fair game. Like, you can have an argument, you can call me a name, I can call you a name, and my name might get me in more trouble based on how far I go, but like, absolutely we don't hit. And so I kind of felt like that, but I also feel like it caused me to not fight, period, in relationships, because like men get physical, and if you can't do that, so it's like, well, you just kind of you don't fight. Like there's no fight. There's just like you say what it's gonna be, I say what it's gonna be, and then we make a decision. But it kept me also like there's no penetration. Like I don't really get attached to you. I just like we, you know, like I was kind of cold. I think, which I think that I feel like that affected. I feel like that affected my marriage because there's a part of me that felt like, and one of the reasons that I felt, I feel like I stayed is that I felt like I never really gave myself to him because I never really felt comfortable or safe enough. Like I was in a whole relationship, we were having sex, we were together, like.
Yeah. How long was you married?
10. We were together 10 years. Married, I mean, the divorce happened later. But
that's still a long time. 10 years is a long time.
Yeah, we were together.
That's a long time to be with somebody.
Yeah, like together. We had 6 kids.
Yeah.
You know, so for that long, I feel like I didn't really give myself to him, and maybe that was his like maybe that's why he was justified in him being so aggressive. That was one thing that I guilted myself with.
What do you mean by that?
By which part?
By you saying it's your behaviors was making him aggressive?
I felt like that. Like, so I grew up in church, right? And there are certain sins that you don't do, right? So you don't fornicate. You know, we don't have sex outside of marriage. And when you get inside of marriage, you don't break that up. Like, that's big, right? Now I understand how religion and relationship or spirituality, relationship with God, whatever you call it, how that's different. But as a young person, I had no idea that getting out of a marriage was okay. So I didn't feel like I could leave, but I also didn't feel safe enough to connect to him. You know what I mean? Like I didn't connect to him, and I felt like this is forcing him to not respect me. So maybe if I could figure out how to be better about this, then maybe he would respect me. And so I for a long time, like that was the deep rooted thing that I was doing. But it looked like he beat me up and I just, you know, I forgave him, or, you know, there's rape and I act like it wasn't, or, you know, like I shaved one side of my head. And I told everybody it was because I wanted to shave the side of my head because my grandma was dying of cancer and she had to shave her head, but he pulled my hair out, you know? But I didn't tell people that because it was, maybe if I hadn't, he wouldn't have done this. Like maybe he is still that good person that people think he is. So
do you feel like, so you saying like the little things that you were doing, like what's an example, like something small that would be like something that would cause someone like that to explode to the point of
a little thing?
Yeah.
Anything.
I'm trying to think of like this. Like I remember one time. Let's be real honest. I'm attracted to short guys. Like I've never been really attracted to a tall guy. Like I dealt with one guy that was tall, and it was like, I'm just trying something different, you know. Like I wasn't I'm genuinely like attracted to a short guy, but he's a short guy with a complex about being a short guy. Mm-hmm. So I also am like the girl that's always friends with boys. So like I'm gonna kick it with you, and I'm gonna pick on you, and you gonna pick on me, and we gonna, you know, wrestle. And you know, like I was like a trainer in high school, so like I had
testing his strength.
I would pick with him. No, I mean, I would say that, like, so I remember one day we were in the car, right? and he's like, I think I got in the car after him or something, and I was like, and I pulled my seat up because I couldn't reach the pedals. And I was like, why do you have the seat back so far? Like, you're not that much taller than me, you know, like. And I'm tripping because I'm like, dude, you know you're not, like, I know that your legs do not reach that much farther than mine because I'm 5 foot and you're 5'6". Like, it's no way. But I'm playing. Oh, he went like I wanted to get out the car on the highway. He went off. You know what I'm saying? Like, he went all the way off. And I really was like I would have been okay if he said something like that to me. Like, you know, like, I have a big head, or I mean, like we joke. You know, you joke when you friends with people.
Yeah.
I couldn't joke with him. Like I wasn't like joking. Never, like I never was able to. And I'm a very like I love comedies. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna smoke a blunt, and I'm gonna trip. Like I like to do that. I was not able to be that person.
So like being in a place of limbo, because from how it sounds to me, it's like you have your own thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. You have the structure of what you grew up. You have roles that you're supposed to play. What was it like being in that place of limbo? Like, what type of thoughts did it make you have? What type of feelings did it make you have? What type of decisions did it make you?
Well, I went back to my faith, right? Because that's who I am, and that's how I function through everything. And I would go through these moments where I would be like, okay, God, like for real, this can't be what my life is about. Like this can't, like, what do you want me to do? Like, for real, I do whatever you want. And the answer that I always got, which when I look back now and I look at prayer, I know that a lot more I was talking to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I didn't know that then, but my decision was based on what I was telling myself, which was, this is not finished yet. Like, you still got a little bit more to do. We had 6 kids together. Those 6 kids are amazing individuals. Like, everything that I went through and still am going through, I wouldn't take any of it back, because like Earth having these people was absolutely necessary. So I would tell myself, like, or in prayer, and God would be saying to me, God would be saying to me, no, it's not time for you to leave yet. So then I just went on back into life. I was raising 6 kids, so it wasn't hard to figure out ways to keep myself from getting in trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I worked, and I took care of my kids, and I went to church. I thought that was enough.
So how was the process in the beginning to transitioning over to how you speak of it now?
Well, that's many stages. Because I went first of all, one thing that I have to admit, and even to him, because like I said, I do feel guilt in not ever really connecting with him. I feel like that drove him to a certain, anger. And maybe he felt like he was used, or I don't know. Like I feel like I need to apologize to him in some ways, but I have to admit that I never really connected to him. So it started off, I'm dating this guy. Really, I'm dating for the first time, because I grew up in church, so like you don't do certain things, you don't go places, like I didn't really ever date. So this is like my first relationship. We fall into whatever, and I get pregnant.
Yeah.
And it's like,
how old are you at this point?
I'm 21.
Okay.
I'm 20.
Fairly young.
Yeah. And I get pregnant, and my mom, I'm excited. I'm like, life has been whatever up until now, but I'm about to have a kid. And if nothing else, I know that we're gonna have a certain relationship, because I know what a mom should be. Like, I was the oldest of my 6 siblings, and I was like the second parent. So, like, I know what this is supposed to be. So I'm excited, and so I go to tell my mom, and she's like, "Well, if you don't get married, you and that baby are gonna be cursed." And so I'm like, guess I better go ahead and figure that out, because I don't want to bring this kid into a cursed situation. And that's what I did. I got married. And I feel like that was the curse. Like, I feel like doing it for that reason, in so many ways, like I'm trying to forgive my mom for leading me that way, because I look at like some of the stuff that I'm going through right now with my kids, and we can get into that later or whatever, but I look at women who, like I have a cousin, or just different women who have multiple babies' fathers. Yeah. They'll be like, "Oh, well, you're married, and like that's like some trophy. Like that's some, like I did it right." But with some of the things that I'm going through now, I wish that he was just one of my baby daddies. Like I wish I had those 6 kids, but I wish he only had like access to one of my kids, because it's been so much drama.
It doesn't feel like a reward.
Oh my God, nothing about it feels like a reward. I literally wish I had 6 different baby daddies, and I say that and I'm not joking. Like, I feel like that would have been way less drama than the stuff, like some of the things that I even remember going through in the, you know, like the most horrific, you know, memories that I just don't want to have.
Yeah.
It would just have been easier to just have had a dude that, you know, maybe we just, you know what I'm saying, and maybe it just didn't work out and I just had a baby, you know what I'm saying, and maybe we was cool, you know what I'm saying, and like
I just wasn't feeling that situation.
Yes, like I feel like that would have been so much better than some of the things that I would let him, like imagine being raped, you know what I'm saying, and then going and laying back down next to that person. You know what I'm saying? How do you make yourself do that? It was, well, because I can't leave my husband. So I feel like I wish that I had not told myself that. I wish that it would have just been like, okay, well, this is crazy. Get out of here.
How was that situation trying to explain that to like family members and like somebody else that's close to you? Because a lot of people wouldn't see that situation as that, but I completely understand where you come from. I haven't been there, but I know how to put myself in someone else's shoes. I could see from a woman's standpoint, like, nah, like I done been in relationships where we angry, don't want to be touched or bothered, and then like
I don't think I was never really allowed to not want to be touched. That would cause a fight, and so I was always trying to not fight. I don't. What was the question? How did I dedicated a lot of my energy, my lies, like a lot of everything that I put my energy into was trying to make people think that he was the person that I wanted him to be. So that wasn't a conversation that we had. Like, I'm still, like, this conversation that we're having, I still feel very much like, oh my God, I'm putting him out here. You know what I mean? And he has drugged me through the dirt. And I still feel like, but the right thing to do is to uplift him and to say good things about him. Because that's how I was raised. Like, that's what the church teaches you, to be nice. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't tell people these things. I don't explain it. No one asks me, so we don't talk about it. Like, I fight with my demons behind closed doors. And I don't know that I've ever invited anyone into that, really. You know, like, I have a domestic violence counselor that I see a couple times a month. And I talk to her about what I want to talk to her about. You know what I mean? And she doesn't know to ask the questions that she really needs to ask to get me to talk about anything important. So we just do what we do.
So, like, so after going through a situation like that, so, like, right after a situation like that, like, how does it affect your mind? How does it affect your emotions? How does it affect you dealing with other people, just going through regular life after something like that? You know what I mean? Especially with somebody close to you. It's not a stranger.
I feel like how it affects you always is you're always acting. You know, like, even now, like I said, I want to have this real conversation with y'all. I want to talk about it. I want other women to feel comfortable, and men, because men, it's not just like it's not just women that get abused. Men get abused too. Like, anybody can deal with a narcissist. And so what I want, I want to talk about this, but I still feel like this is our business. This is, you know, like, I'm not supposed to expose him. You know, you are groomed into that. Like, you're taught, you don't talk about it. You don't put that out there. Like, this is not, you know, I even sometimes wonder, did it really happen? You know?
It makes you question your own thoughts.
Yeah, and so, you know, what was the question?
Like, what is it? What does something like that do to you personally? Your mind, your emotions.
I feel like it just puts you in a place where you're acting. Like, it puts you always in a place where you are. It's like you shut off. Like, in a lot of ways, I'm shut off. Like, I don't. In order for me to deal with it, I have to cry. Nobody wants to walk around crying. You know what I mean? So it just, I was off. I was never really myself. Like, there was one person that I was able to connect with and just always be myself, and that was like, I feel like God sent the person into my life, but really I just always was the shell of a person. And when I felt emotions come, I just don't deal with that. Like, I do whatever I have to do to get out of that situation. I don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, like you walk around being somebody. You create this image and you be that person.
Yeah.
So, like, now that you out of that place, what would be like, and you getting more comfortable, you know, understanding, you know, empathize with you not being fully there, but like, what would be some pointers that, or you know what I'm saying, or like some advice you would give to some other people that's in like similar situations, you know what I'm saying, where they feel like there is no way out, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you feel like you're being forced, but you know you're not being forced, but you also know that you are being forced. Like, it's like a weird thought process.
Well, so one of the things that I have done is I've started a support group. It's on Google Meet. I meet every Wednesday at 3:33.
Google me?
Google Meet.
Google Meet.
And you can maybe put the link.
Yeah.
Post the link, whatever.
Definitely.
But I started a support group because I really feel like the only thing that I can say to answer that question is to connect to some people. Like, I don't know how long it takes to get into a person's mind. I don't know if it takes 6 months or 2 days or 5 years. I don't know how long it takes. I don't know when I haven't sat down and thought about, like, when did he really get his claws in to me? But at whatever point that was, I went into a place where I don't think anybody could save me, because it was almost like I was like almost hypnotized. Like, you're almost like, you're trying so hard to not be or to be or whatever, that you're not, like, you just it's like you're just a different person, you know. Yeah. And so you don't make good decisions. The decisions you make don't make sense, and people on the outside are looking like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? And they don't understand that, like, you are fighting with whatever demons he put there or she put there. Like, like you never know what somebody whispers in somebody's ear at night or sends them in a text message. What seeds are planted? So, like, for instance, we went through a custody battle, or are going through a custody battle, but when it started, my kids would come back and tell me things that he had done to them. And so everybody advised me to, you know, like, don't respond to it, because if you respond to it, it's gonna look like this or whatever. But me being abused, I'm like, okay, well, I can't do this because I have to protect him from him knowing. I have to do this, I have to do that, and everything that I did in this custody battle made me look like a psychopath. You know what I'm saying? But it was because I was functioning like an abused person. Like, I wouldn't get in court and say he did this to my kid, because then he knows that the kid told me, and who's gonna protect the kids when we're not in court? So I'm not saying that. But then people are like, well, if it's true, then, like, how could it be true? Well, you don't understand the things that he did to me, so you don't know what I think he might do to my kid. You know what I'm saying? So it's like things like that you can't, there's no way to predict that you'll respond that way. There's no way to predict, like, what life will bring and how you will, like the wind blowing through my hair reminds me of my Mustang. You know what I'm saying? My Mustang was my convertible. My convertible, one day I couldn't get my top up, and because I couldn't get it up in time enough, he held a gun at my head and told me, "You, like, we're together or you're dead," right? So, like, every time the wind blows through my hair, I think about my Mustang, and I think about that time. You know, like, it's PTSD. So what do I advise a person to do? You got to connect to people, because in those moments, what I have to do is call somebody and be like, okay, so this happened and this happened, and like, what would you, like, how would you feel in this moment?
So having a support system.
You have to have that.
And what you're saying, I agree. Like, I've been through a lot of traumatic situations since I can consciously remember my first memories. So, like, something I do is, I'm transparent. I throw everything out there, so I have to deal with it, or it has to be dealt with. You know what I mean? And I mean, through dealing with it, I also realized that everything that happens to me, everybody that comes into my life is a reflection of me, and also I allowed them to do everything that they did. So like, as much as they did to me, I could have stopped this a long time ago. You know what I mean? But that transparency and the detachedness, the acting, like the being detached, being triggered by something you see, a situation, a sensation, like being triggered emotionally, and then, you know, that's when those emotions start to come out because you detached from them because you couldn't protect yourself in the moment. You know what I mean? But that transparency, and, you know, if you do have somebody that you're able to connect with, that you trust, their perspective, yeah, all of that is key.
That is definitely some good insight, you know what I'm saying? On that note, we're going to cut to this break and then we're going to swing right back to y'all.
This that savage shit.
So we back from the break. We're going to let Cheno Bliss introduce the subject we getting into next.
Yes, so I was wondering, from the past conversations, how did you transition into your self-development, your spiritual development, and what's some things that's been happening since then?
So a couple things happened. First of all, I left the relationship, and so that was like the end of it in the physical realm, right? I walked away. And then my mom and my grandmother passed away like within 6 months of each other. So I went through this whole like, you know, like severe grief, loss. And then in going through that process, I moved, I left town trying to kind of, you know, get back on my feet. But I'm leaving this relationship and I'm still afraid. So I'm like trying to get to a place where I can like breathe. Yeah. Because he was really aggressive. And so when that happened, he attacked and sued for custody of the kids. And that's a whole like long story. What I can say is I don't even.
Yeah, you don't have to get into all that.
So anyway, that happened, and at that point I realized. So what I do have to say though is that the thing happened with the children, and it went totally not the way I would have wanted it to. And so I'm like, okay, God, because my thing is always God. So I need you to help me understand, like, how is it? Like, when I talk about having children, like, when people ask me, well, who are you? My first thing is I have 7 children. Like, I am a mother first. Like, that is my passion. That is everything about who I am. And I have lived my life in that way. Like, every decision that I've ever made has been, how do I give my kids the things I didn't have? Like, I remember my first son, I worked 10 hours a day, and I would leave on my lunch break to go breastfeed him so that he could have breast milk and I could have money. You know what I'm saying? So I sacrificed like that. And I'm like, okay, God, what, like, for real, how is this thing happening with my children? And what I realized is that there was so many different ways that I was neglecting my spirit man, my spirit woman, my higher self, you know? And I realized that, like, the only way that nature was ever going to get me to acknowledge those things was for me to go through this type of trauma. So how I've been able to reconcile that is, yes, well, you know, I have these physical bruises, these mental bruises, emotional bruises from this relationship, but these bruises have essentially like molded me into who I am. This has created Chemire. It's created, you know, my passion, my desire to help other women and men that deal with domestic abuse, and even family members that don't understand, like, why is this person still living this way? Why is this person still allowing this thing to happen? What is the deficit? You know? Yeah. It was absolutely necessary for me to go through all of these things to become this person. And so that's kind of how, like, that had to come from me digging deep, you know? my prayer life had to change. Prayer wasn't just reciting the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like prayer is it had to become like I could only live by prayer. You know what I'm saying?
This that savage shit.
Alright, so we back from the break. We had to take a quick intermission just for a slight second. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna get back into our subjects we was just talking about. So we wanna know, like, what did your spiritual growth look like?
So, like I said, I grew up Christian, so I had to figure out how any of the things that could be happening were happening to me, and God was still who I had been taught that He was. And because I wasn't like I went through the type of trauma that makes you question if God is real, but I was not willing to let go of the idea that He wasn't. You know, so
Yeah.
you know, it was a lot of like, okay, you have to show me. Like, I need to understand this. I need to understand how, you know, like I grew up in that era where you name it, you claim it, or if you speak certain things, then they just are. And I'm like, I'm doing all of that, and this is not fixing the situation. It's not getting better. It's getting way worse.
Yeah.
And so I had to dig deep, you know, and I went really deep, and you know, I found that, you know, like when Jesus would say things like, I am God. Like he would say, like, I am, like, God is my father. Like, he would say those things and the people would get mad. I realized that, like, he was really saying that, like we are gods. Like, not just Jesus is the son of God, you know, like we are created in His image, like, in this earth to man it, you know, like, to run it. Like, we're supposed to do here what God does there. As it is on earth, so it is in heaven. And so it changed everything about, like, it didn't change my conviction to be a Christian. Like, I still am that. Like, there's no scripture that I have ever read that goes against anything that I've learned in the spiritual journey. But I realize that most Christians don't really know what they're following. Like, they don't really practice. Like,
So do you think it's more of just having a spiritual connection more so than the Bible being involved as far as, like,
I think that the Bible is... Okay, so I'm going to answer it this way. I feel like systematically, the worst thing that has happened to our people is that we don't have any type of identity. You know what I mean? Like, every other culture, you know, well, okay, so this culture is this religion, and this is how that developed. Like, it started off here, they were conquered by these people, this was, you know, mixed in here, and then they moved over there. Like, you know where the people's conviction comes from. With black people, we came from Africa on a boat 400 years ago, and that's literally all we're told. But I believe that the Bible is really like our culture, you know, like, and they've stolen it and made it like this is what is for the world, but it's not really what is for the world. It is what is for those chosen people. And so I don't think that the Bible is like, it has to be like how you run your life. But I think if you really ever want to understand for anything that's really ever happening in your life, you can find it in there. So you can reject it if you want. I mean, you don't have to have the Bible to have spirituality. No. The people that are in the Bible didn't have the Bible. They found God because they went out into nature and found God. Moses, the burning bush. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jacob is outside battling with this angel outside. Like, what are they doing? They're outside in nature. They didn't need the Bible. But for us, we kind of have a cheat sheet. You can use it if you want to.
So how does that correlate, or how would you correlate that with you using and going over to the oil transition?
So remember I told you about how my son had that thing on his face. During that time, I was also coming into a place where I'm trying to figure out, like, how do we heal our bodies? I'm thinking that just because I'm not using, you know, the harsh chemicals or whatever, and I'm putting something natural on, that we're healthier.
Yeah.
But what I'm also understanding is that oil is, it's like, you know how we learn in school about like electricity, like metal is a conductor of electricity, right? Oil is a conductor of the spirit. So what, like in the Bible, or it says in the Bible, there's a scripture that says, speak those things that are not as though they were. And you even, you know, people tell you like, don't say things that you don't want to manifest or whatever. However they say in each culture, there's always something that tells you like, watch what you say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so whatever we're thinking, whatever we're saying, when you're using these oils, those oils are like acting as a conductor of the spirit, like for manifestation, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm rubbing it on my children and I'm, you know, saying, oh, well, I want this eczema to get better. It's not just that the eczema is getting better because lavender is good for your skin. It's also that I'm commanding my children's bodies to be well. Like I command my own body to be well. Like I command my scalp. I command whatever it is that I want to happen in my body. I'm commanding it, and the oil is the conductor of the spirit that helps that thing happen. So this transition was happening. I'm not really knowing I'm doing it, but I'm using these oils faithfully, and I am literally transforming my whole, like I transform my body, like I like anything that I wanted to change. Like I would when I lost, because I used to be a lot bigger and I lost weight, and my arms was like, you know, they had that women jiggly thing, and I was like, yeah, I need that firm. Like, and I eventually I looked and I was like, I like my arms, all right. You know what I'm saying? So
I feel like it started pulling everything together.
Literally, like, and of course, some of that is the physical, the mechanics that I'm rubbing my arms and I'm putting the oil on. But I know a lot of that also is
believing in it.
Yeah, I'm telling my body what to do, and it does it. So
Yeah.
I think like I strive to be whole, mind, body, and soul. So everything that I do, if in any way it's negative to any of those things, it's not good. I can't do it. So it all has to work together. Like whatever I use should enhance my mind, my body, and my soul.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree.
Yeah. You know, on that note, we're gonna wind this thing down, you know what I'm saying? Let the people know where they could find you at, what you got going on and coming up next.
Well,
projects.
I
don't know if I'm allowed to talk about my biggest project I'm working on, but you can find me on www.Chamire7.mom. That is CHIMERE, the number 7, and .mom, MOM. And you know, I have the body oils, I have the what do you call it? Healing crystals, the jewelry.
Got any of the jewelry with you?
Yeah, I got, so let's see.
With the oil?
Yes, sir.
So there's the body, that's body oil, and that is powerful manifestation oil, like no joke. And you can find that on the website. And here's, I don't know if you want to hold that up or whatever, but that's one of my bracelets.
So sweet.
And I made these earrings I'm wearing.
Yes.
But yeah, like the crystals are just like the essential oils. Like they really are healing to your physical body, your spiritual body, your mental body. Like after coming out of that abusive relationship, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, and I do not want to take medication. Like I tried it, I did what they asked me to do. I was fighting for my kids, you know, whatever. But I feel like you heal all 3 of those people, you good. You don't need the medication. So that's not for everybody. I'm not telling anybody not to take medication that has been prescribed. But I can tell you that I have had lots of health things happen that I have handled on my own. So my thing is, I have a blog and I talk about like common sense ways to take care of yourself. So I just want to inspire people to.
Where can they find your blog at?
That's the www.Chamire7.mom.
Website.
Yep.
Everything is gonna be on the website. Y'all make sure y'all go check it out, man. Try some new organic oils. You gotta need it in your life.
Yes, sir.
Promise you. You know what I'm saying? It's been another great episode of the TrakWolf Godcast. You know what I'm saying? My man Cheno Bliss in the building. I'm your boy TrakBeatz. We signing out.
Cheno.
TrakBeatz.
WLR. Been running this shit. Run with our own team. Corporation. Conglomerate. Yeah. Bosses running with their own team like Razzle Dazzle. All about that cash, we don't want no hassle. Bring them dollars to the dough if you want some more. Bring them dollars to the dough if you want some more. Bosses running with their own team like Razzle Dazzle. All about that cash, we don't need no hassle. Bring them dollars to the dough if you want some more. Bring them dollars to the dough if you want some more. Bring them dollars to the dough like a Brinks truck. Bring them dollars to the dough like deposits, bruh. I feel like a bank when I'm counting up. I feel like Carlton Banks when I'm dancing, bruh. Cheno Bliss, I stay high as a bird. Yeah, call me a dove, cause I'm pure as my word. You motherfuckers done heard, but you barely ever see me, cause I stay in the cut like a motherfucking genie. Make a chick rub me like a motherfucking lamp. Magic, wish I motherfucking grant. For granted, never take the motherfucking champ. Jabroni, Cheno got that motherfucking stamp. Bosses running with their own team like Razzle Dazzle. All about that cash, we don't want no hassle. Bring them dollars to the dough if you want some more. Bring them dollars to the dough if you want some more. Bosses running with their own team like Razzle Dazzle. All about that cash, we don't